Daniel Carter had never imagined his life would become so small and so heavy at the same time. At 36, he was a single father to a 7-year-old boy named Ethan, a child with wide curious eyes and a heart too trusting for the world they lived in. Daniel's wife had passed away 3 years earlier after a sudden illness, leaving him with grief that never fully healed and responsibilities that never paused. Every morning before sunrise, he packed Ethan's lunch, tied his shoelaces, and promised him silently that no matter how hard things became, he would never let his son feel abandoned by life. His job as a facilities supervisor at a massive corporate headquarters was not glamorous, but it paid enough to keep the lights on, the fridge stocked, and Ethan in a modest but safe school. The building Daniel worked in belonged to Victor Langford, a billionaire known across the city for his ruthless business sense and his cold, unreadable presence. Victor was a man who measured people by efficiency, not emotion, and success by numbers, not stories. Employees whispered about him as if he were a storm that could appear without warning. Daniel had seen Victor only once before from a distance, a tall man in an immaculate suit, moving through the lobby with eyes that seemed to see everything and nothing at the same time. Daniel's life had been a careful balance of exhaustion and determination. He worked extra hours whenever he could, fixed problems no one noticed, and avoided drawing attention to himself. His biggest fear was instability, because instability meant fear in Ethan's eyes, and that was something Daniel could not bear. Some nights, after Ethan fell asleep, Daniel sat on the edge of the bed staring at unpaid bills, calculating how many weeks they could survive if anything went wrong. He prayed quietly for nothing to go wrong. But life has a way of testing prayers. One ordinary morning, Daniel was called to the executive floor without explanation. His hands trembled slightly as he rode the elevator upward, his reflection in the mirrored walls showing tired eyes and a face that had aged too quickly. He thought of Ethan waiting at school, unaware that his entire world might be about to shift. When Daniel stepped into Victor Langford's office, the air felt heavier, sharper, as if the room itself was judging him. Victor stood by the window, the city spread beneath him like a map of conquered territory. Without warmth, without warning, he informed Daniel that his position was terminated, effective immediately. There was no explanation, no softening of the blow. For Daniel, it felt like being pushed off a cliff. His mind raced through rent, groceries, school fees, and the promise he made every morning to his son. Panic rose in his chest, but something deeper held him still. Instead of pleading or collapsing, Daniel did something unexpected. He did not argue or beg. He did not accuse or lash out. He simply lowered his head for a moment, steadying his breath, and spoke from a place deeper than fear. He explained that he understood decisions had to be made, that companies had priorities, but he asked for one thing: time. Not mercy, not pity, but a few weeks to prepare, to find another job, to make sure his son would not feel the impact of a sudden fall. He spoke about being a single father, about responsibility, about how losing a job was not just losing income but losing stability for a child who had already lost a mother. His words were not polished. They were not strategic. They were honest. Victor listened in silence, his face unreadable. To him, this moment was not just about firing an employee, it was a test he had designed deliberately. Years earlier, Victor had grown disillusioned with people. He believed most individuals, when cornered, revealed selfishness, manipulation, or weakness. He had quietly begun testing employees in critical moments, not to humiliate them, but to confirm his bleak view of human nature. Daniel was supposed to be just another data point. But something about Daniel unsettled him. After a long pause that felt endless, Victor revealed that the termination had not been real. It had been a test. He explained that he wanted to see who people were when their security vanished in an instant. Most reacted with anger, threats, or desperation. Daniel had reacted with dignity, concern for his child, and respect, even when he believed his world was collapsing. That moment cracked something Victor had buried for decades. Victor had grown up in poverty himself, raised by a father who worked until his body failed and a mother who sacrificed silently. When success finally came, Victor had sworn never to be vulnerable again. He built walls of wealth and control, believing they would protect him from pain. Somewhere along the way, he forgot what it meant to care. Seeing Daniel standing there, not asking what he would lose, but how his son might suffer, forced Victor to confront a truth he had avoided. Character could not be measured on spreadsheets. Integrity did not show up in quarterly reports. Victor did more than reverse the firing. He offered Daniel a promotion into a role focused on employee welfare and operations ethics, a position that required trust, empathy, and responsibility. It came with better pay, flexible hours, and benefits that would finally allow Daniel to breathe. But more importantly, Victor made a personal commitment to support Daniel's growth, not as an asset but as a human being. Daniel left that office in shock, tears blurring his vision as he rode the elevator down. When he picked Ethan up from school that afternoon, he hugged him longer than usual, breathing in the simple miracle of having another chance. That night, for the first time in years, Daniel slept without the weight of fear pressing on his chest. The change did not stop there. Daniel approached his new role with the same quiet dedication that had defined his life. He advocated for employees who were struggling, created systems that supported parents, and ensured that people were seen, not just used. Productivity rose, not because of pressure, but because people felt valued. Slowly, the culture of the company began to shift. Victor watched from a distance, observing something he had not expected: loyalty. Employees stayed late not out of fear, but pride. Absenteeism dropped. Morale rose. Profits increased, but this time, they felt different. They felt earned without cruelty. Outside of work, Daniel's life blossomed in small, meaningful ways. He attended Ethan's school events without checking his phone every 5 minutes. He cooked better meals, helped with homework, and laughed more. Ethan noticed the change before Daniel did. His father smiled more. His shoulders seemed lighter. Home felt safer. Years later, Victor established a foundation focused on supporting single parents and families facing sudden financial hardship. He credited the inspiration not to strategy, but to a moment of unexpected humanity. Daniel became one of the foundation's leaders, helping shape programs that saved families from the kind of fear he once lived with daily. The test that was meant to confirm Victor's cynicism ended up restoring his faith. As this story comes closer to its end, take a moment to pause and reflect. If this journey of a single father, tested at his breaking point, has touched your heart in any way, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel so these stories of hope can reach more people.